can tell.
Shooting the weapons from your hands. I only wish to avoid any regrettable accidents. Ravage.
Okay, this time I'm bling in the heat. Bling in the heat.
But I love playing Bling Bling Boy because he's the guy that everybody hates to love and love to hate.
But I love you, Susan Test, who clearly has a cold.
All you have to do is do a little bit higher and stick your tongue up inside the roof of your mouth and on the back of your teeth.
Oh! Susan Test, what do you think of my new carriage?
And what do you think of my riding crop?
Not bad, not bad.
I'm sorry, Johnny bro, but I don't like slumber parties. I like onions.
And that's Andrew Francis again.
Yep.
See, we're all in the same shows together. They love us all. we migrate like pack animals.
Have you ever had like a bad day during like a studio read or anything, like something just went so horribly wrong or you had such a bad day doing it?
Well, one day when I was doing, I think we were doing Pac-Man, I think, I had my iPad flipped over top of my music stand, but the music stand was wobbly, like it wasn't tightened, and I flipped it over and it flipped over and cracked and shattered, and I couldn't use my iPad. So that's how I can see, so I can blow up the script and scroll with it. So that was a bad day. I had an anxiety attack once in a session. That was not fun. I had some interpersonal stuff that was going on that day, and it's kind of bled over. But other than that, no. Every day I get to be out and play with my little talk monkeys and my cartoon family. It's a good day for me. So I don't think I've had very many bad days. They're all like variations on a theme of awesome. I get to go out of my house and play and make funny voices into a little foam microphone ball, and somebody pays my bills. That's awesome. Like, come on, that's amazing.
Here's a little creative question here. What do you think are some misconceptions about the voiceover industry that people who go to BotCon or San Diego Comic-Con think about that isn't the case?
Well, speaking from experience when I've gone to these conventions, is that people think that that you're on all the time because we're funny in session, and then when we're in real life around people, you kind of have to still maintain, when you're doing fan service stuff, you have to maintain a higher energy level, but we're just real people, and for the most part we don't just turn it on and off like that. It's really hard to just go from zero to hilarious in 0.5 seconds. So that's one thing. The other misnomer is that we remember everything that we've ever done. So as you can tell by this interview, because I'm
guilty of that,
and it's just difficult because there's so many. You know, when you get up into 8,000 episodes and hundreds of franchise, it's really difficult. And so people say, and a lot of times people will assume that we've watched all of the episodes once they air. Sometimes they don't even air in Canada, so I can't see them. And I don't go to YouTube and hunt down what I've done so I can go, oh, look how brilliant I was. I was so funny that day. I must see how brilliant I was that day. I don't do that. So to me, it's kind of a job, and I do it, and I try to be the funniest and the best I can be to bring out the best qualities of that character as the way the writer gave it to me, the designer gave it to me, and the director directed me to be. And then it's this little wonderful dance that we do together. And the director and the animator, the show director, the voice director, the writer, the voice actor, and the producer and production house. And then we make that together. So we don't watch all the episodes. So when somebody says, do you remember what happened in this episode when you said this and this? And my other voice actors and I, we always say the same thing. We're like, when we're talking and nobody else is around, we're like, and then they ask me the question, like, do you remember, well, how did you feel when you said this? And blank, it's like, beep, 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 beep.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of an episode from The Simpsons, season 8, the Itchy, Scratchy, and Poochie show, where Homer becomes the voice of Poochie, and they're having a Q&A thing at the android's dungeon, and these really fat, homely geeks and nerds are like nitpicking like various things and asking
I bet
all
you
these
the comic
questions.
book guy was in there. It's like, worst episode ever.
Yes, finally, I would like to return your quote-unquote ultimate build. Yeah, and then Homer just chases them off, and June Bellamy, clear nod to June Foray, was like, oh, thank you, I couldn't answer those.
It happens all the time, because I don't watch a lot of the episodes that I'm in. I go and I do the job, and then I try to be the best I can on the day. But for me to hunt down everything I've ever done would take me forever and a day. Yes, I try to read the scripts, but there's so many. Like, how do you keep track? It's impossible. So those are the two misnomers that I would say that voice actors, people think that we remember the voices. People think that we remember all of the words in all of the scripts. We don't. It's impossible.
Okay. I mean, I'm guilty of that mindset, mainly because I've been a fan of the voiceover industry my entire life. But
right.
At least I can admit when I'm wrong on that.
Not wrong. Different worlds. It's different worlds.
What are some of the more difficult parts of doing actual dubbing for Japanese cartoons?
Well,
maybe not difficulties, but like challenges, something that you wouldn't see.
When you're playing a large character, like when I was in Mega Man, when I played Higsby used to have these long passages, paragraphs, and you hear beep, 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 go, and then you have to read and check the time code on the page, and the time code has to match up with the time code on the computer in front of you, and you're watching the mouth flaps on the computer in front of you, and you have to say all of these lines and fit it into the mouth flaps on the computer, lining up with the time code there to the time code on your page. And when you have long passages like that, big swaths of dialogue, that's the hard part. That is the most difficult part of ADR. Is when there's just I played in Monster Rancher. I played General Durahan, I think his name was. But he had a mask. Like he had one of those masks over top. So he was talking through, he was talking through a mask. So there was no mouth flaps. I'm like, yes, I love this. It's amazing. So so those are like the prime gigs when you don't have to do the mouth flaps. So yeah, that's it. ADR is like digging ditches. You got to put your time in. It's hard. Prelay is the fun stuff. So ADR is audio dialogue replacement.
Okay.
And that is where you have the script that's been written in Japanese, or like Le Petit Prince, dans l'animation from France, en français. Je comprends le français, mais plus que j'y pense. I understand it, but I don't speak it as well as I understand it. And even then, I only think I understand it a little bit. So when it comes from France or China or Japan or Korea or wherever, and it's there on the page, it's already been written in English, and it's already had to try and put it in the mouth flaps. That's the hard part. In prelay, you just get the script as it comes from the writer, and you get to say it however you want to interpret it. And then it goes to the animation house, and then they wrap the mouths, like they do the mouth flaps around your voice, so you don't have that same problem. So that's why prelay is always the fun stuff, and it pays better too. So
I've got a hypothetical going on here in my head that I want to lay before you. Oftentimes, the episode would be 22 minutes long, but what I'm suspecting is the director on a good day would give you the freedom to, do the line as you would see fit. But if it went too long, they would have to just cut out some of the unneeded bits and make those the deleted scenes, like what you see.
Yeah, okay. There's a few things going on there. One is one page as it appears on the script. One page of written dialogue and action comes out to about 1 minute per page.
Okay.
The script, the writer should know approximately at what, that it comes in for 22 minutes. And why 22 minutes is because it allows for 8 minutes of commercials chopped up.
Now a word from my God, our sponsor.
Exactly. So the sponsors are what keeps the engine greased and all that stuff. So the director will truncate the line if the actor is taking too long and it's called chewing the scenery. They're really milking a line. They're like, okay, speed it up a little bit again, but just, it's almost like the director wants to say, why don't you just remove every fourth word? This fourth word, maybe? Yeah. So, we usually come in right on time, and because of the writer did their job well before we even got it.
Also, in that hypothetical, would there be time allotted for, like, if a voice actor in the studio would want to ad-lib something?
Sometimes, if it's funny, and if they think that it's funny, and the directors are all in the director and the producer, if the producer's there, either in the room or on phone patch, like, they let me play a lot. And have in the past. I just ad lib a lot of stuff because I'm a writer as well. I've written for a lot of the episodes that I've been in, for like League of Super Evil and different things. March Entertainment, Yamroll, and March Entertainment in Toronto. I wrote a bunch of episodes for that, and I played Yamroll. So I write for some of the characters that I do, and write for some of the episodes. So if it's funny, so I know what funny is, and I used to do stand up and improv and stuff like that. So I have that as one of my bag of tricks. So unless you're really funny, and sometimes as I'm reading it, I'm like, I'll say, okay, I'll do 2 takes. The director will say, okay, and you can read through the script. Okay, he's going to say this, she's going to say this, and then it's my turn. And before it gets to me, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do two takes. So I'll do one as written, and then I'll do a second one as I think is my take on how, if I think it could be funnier, and I'll punch it up a little bit. Sometimes, most of the times I'll keep it. But
before we get to the other 2 topics, Rocky and Bullwinkle. What's your opinion on that?
Well, it's one of my favorite cartoons when I was growing up, but I was still little. Like, hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. Bullwinkle, that trick never works.
This time for sure. Pistol.
When I did Yakety Yak, I actually took Bullwinkle's voice and made it my own, and because he had that sort of thing like this, and I took him and made him up here like this for Yakety Yak and stuff like that. But it was based on Rocky and Bullwinkle sort of thing, and I just made it my own, and then that became even higher, and then that was Kate and Mim Mim for Mim Mim. So it was sliding up the register in the larynx.
That's cool. You kind of got the Rob Paulson thing going on when you go that high.
Yeah. Well, that's what I've been doing for most of my old life.
You never found any offense from the Dudley Do-Right shorts?
No. And people have had a misconception about the goody two-shoes Canadians. Like, don't worry, I'll save you. I mean, So people think we're polite. I don't take offense to that. I do take offense to the fact that people think that we're not as savvy as Americans. You took all of our best comedians and claimed them as your own.
We don't claim Mike Myers as our own. At least I don't.
Except for when he's like this.
I promise that we talk about 2 major topics that pertain to you. Okay. To my audience, Lee Tockar is legally blind, and at the same time, he is an amazing artist. The floor is all yours.
Well, like I said to you before in the pre-interview stuff, is like I always prefer when people are listed as abilities first and then challenges or disabilities after. So I was born with cone dystrophy. So I have no cones in my eyes. So I'm very light sensitive. That's why I live in the dark in Bat Cave, because I'm very light sensitive. It's photophobic or afraid of light.
I hope I didn't offend you by the way I said that.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
No, I don't get offended because I like to be an inspiration to other people with challenges and who are legally blind. And people don't usually notice unless I'm reading a newspaper and it's like really close. Or if I'm out in the daytime and somebody's across the street and they're like, hey, and they wave at me and they're like, hey, how come you're such a D-bag to me? I waved at you and you didn't see me. I'm like, okay, because I didn't see you, because I don't go around telling people that I am blind, but I don't mind talking about it because it's something like I'm an advocate for the Foundation for Fighting Blindness. And, I've talked to many people that, young people that lose their sight rapidly and then become suicidal, for example. And so I have to tell them in my own way some of the benefits for what they are of being blind. And that is that it enhances your imagination. It makes your other senses heightened. And being in a world that's only half in focus allows the other half of the world to be anywhere at all, any place at all. And you live in we all live in the theater of our own mind anyway. And so this is a very existential question, but I'm glad that you brought it up because I don't mind talking about it. And it's something, I was born this way and I have had to, deal with this adversity and challenge, but it has made me have to work twice as hard to be half as good. So when I do a script for animation, bringing it back full circle to what we're talking about here, I have to memorize the scripts before I go in. Whereas most actors can just set it on the stand and they just like wing it. And you could tell that they've read the script maybe once, but I actually, for long passages, I have to memorize that stuff because I have to work twice as hard to be half as good at all you sighted people out there. But most people, for the most part, don't know. But I'm very, very, happy to be a spokesperson and an advocate for people with disabilities and with challenges like that, to let them know that, no matter what life throws at you, persistence beats resistance every single time.
I think that totally resonates because it goes back to my disability that I talked to you about.
Yes.
I have higher functioning autism. I'm basically kind of like Planet Pluto because it was declassified. So I have Asperger's. And the video that I just edited was where I was doing a review of 3 figures from my Transformers collection. Right. Ratchet, Cliff Jumper, and what am I missing? And Mirage. Okay. And when I do these reviews, I try to, get my figure on the camera and I do a commentary.
Right. And
whenever I get to the end and I start to edit it, I go through the audio and these that you hear me doing, I try to isolate those, delete those. I'll get through probably at least 30 of those on a long video. Right. So last night, while I was on the treadmill, I was looking at that same video and I decided, okay, this isn't good enough anymore. If people are going to be watching me as a voice actor, I can't give them anything less than my best. So I wrote a script as I was watching the video over again.
Okay.
And then I went back downstairs. I don't really have much of a fancy setup, but I try to work with the tools I got. So it took me a couple of readings, but I was able to get it down on there, and it's a completely different beast. So while other people who are in the voiceover industry, they're probably able to do the stuff on the fly. Me, I would have to have a script in front of me. I would have had to see it and be familiar with it, or otherwise I'm going to stumble. And the worst part of it is, well, I don't give any offense to people who actually have it. And people at work, when I first started at Walgreens, asked if I have Tourette's.
Oh, they don't sound very smart, these people. That's a completely different beast.
Well, this is the age of technology. You're either smart or you're stupid. There's no middle ground.
It is what it is. Yeah, but see, when we were talking about this as to whether we should broach this topic,
Mhm.
I said to you, because you said, that you had Asperger's and that you have this impediment, and I said, yep, I know, I can hear it. It's not like I'm blind, not deaf, but
Of course not.
I had made a comment to you because you want to be pursuant to a career in stenography, of course, stenographer,
Mhm.
which is taking what many people are saying in a very rapid fire, natural speaking speed, and having to truncate it and type it very quickly
Mhm.
as people are speaking, and multiple characters talking back and forth. I don't know how stenographers do it. I don't know how you do it, but I found it very interesting. And I said this to you before, that I find it interesting that because you have this impediment that slows down parts of the way that you speak, that you should be pursuant of a career that makes speak the way other people speak, that truncates it and makes it very quick. So you've done the opposite. You're pursuing a career as a stenographer, which is faster than people speak, almost to the speed of as people think.
Yeah.
So I find it very curious, but people will always raise to the level of, it's like a fish. It grows to the size of its tank, always.
Especially if the fish is the one that was voiced by Doss Butler in The Cat in the Hat. Not the Michael Myers movie, the
I know.
original short.
Yeah. A story about a kid that had a little speech impediment.
Mhm.
And I think he had a lateral lisp, some sort of lateral lisp, but he's really high and he talks like this sort of thing. And his parents, and he was getting gigs because he had this cute little voice, and his parents sent him to a speech therapist, corrected all of it, never got work again. It's like, thanks, mom and dad, you just screwed yourself out of the tuition for kids' college. Now you're gonna have to pay for it.
With us.
No sleepover!
Oh, please, Daddy. We love you. And remember, our college is free.
Oh, okay. But only because you said free college. You should have listened to your father, cause look at this scene. Everything's messy and nothing is clean.
So when did the girls create the talking fish?
I'm so sad that it's a touchy topic because I love Dr. Seuss. I'm a writer as well, and I like rhyme scheme stuff. And they took off about 6 books or something like that. There's a whole bunch of books that they've removed from the Dr. Seuss canon, and I can see why. I mean, some of it is harkening back to a time when, you know, there before BIPOC, and where it was marginalizing people for race and things like that. So I kind of get it. It's just it's the sign of the times, I guess, that they would remove some issues and some books from the Dr. Seuss canon based on the fact that it no longer is applicable to the culture that we're living in today.
Yeah.
But good for you for overcoming. And I mean, I think you're very professional, and if you feel like you have to edit out some of your and all that stuff that you do, that's I think that's fine. But I'm good with or without it, because you strike me as a genuine character and a genuine person. So
Thanks.
that's why I'm doing this interview. I wouldn't do it if I looked at your stuff and thought, oh, this guy seems like, a bit of a weirdo, you know. So you don't. You seem like a very normal, high functioning person.
I'm really glad to hear you say that. Whenever I'm doing these interviews, be it with a comic book artist for my sit-down comics, or voice actors for voiceover review, it's always a new adventure.
It is. Yeah. Well, this is the 3rd interview I've done this month, and I'm going to have to take a break after this for a little while because I have some work that I have to do. But I've chosen 3, like, I don't know what your followers are, how many numbers you have and all that stuff. I hope this helps boost your ratings and your numbers. But like I said in the other 2 interviews, I'm doing this because I like helping out people that are just like fledgling and getting them going. And I've done the big interviews, and I've done the big conventions and stuff. But there's a personability, it's the personality from a novice point of view of an interviewer that I really enjoy. And I like to see all the different styles. So if I can help, that's what I'm doing now. And I think this is going great so far. But this is probably going to be the last of the three. I got to wait a month because I've got some art projects. You're talking about my art and what it's like to be blind. I have a carving that I've been commissioned to do. And I just finished a little patron appreciation thing. So if you go to my YouTube channel, the Lee Tockar official one, and it's me with my glasses on looking like, I guess more like this. Yeah.
Hey, here's a sort of closing for you. This was on my mind the entire time that we were talking, but now I know who you resemble. You look like someone. You look like Will Friedle.
Will Friedle? Well, where would I know that name from? I know the name.
Batman Beyond and Boy Meets World.
Oh, okay.
Eric Matthews.
I look like Wolverine's brother. What's that? Leaf. No. What's his name? The Animal. Not Animal. What's in the X-Men series? Who was the brother to Wolverine?
Oh, Sabretooth.
Sabretooth. What was his name? The actor.
Liev Schreiber.
Liev Schreiber. I've been told I looked like Liev Schreiber before when I had my hair was a little shorter. And
now I can see it. I wouldn't have been able to see it if you hadn't said it. But
yeah, I get that sometimes.
Okay, this time I'm pulling in the heat. Pulling in the heat. Ah, stop it! You are making it worse. Ah, great.
I'll get it.
Get it off! Get it off! Okay, seriously though, I'm not usually like the rescuing type, okay? Nothing can keep the great Pronto away from the fight. Hey, where did everybody go? Oh, captured. Well, never fear. Pronto will come to the rescue.
Yeah, I mean, come on. She hasn't even eaten a chili slug dog yet. Hurry it up already, Pinky. Don't rush me. I'm getting ready for my big day. What? So I did my hair up for a change.
So what's with the Goldilocks?
Don't you guys know it's Valentine's Day?
this was a real pleasure talking to you, Lee.
The pleasure was all mine, buddy. It really was.
You stay safe, and
yeah, you too.
Have a good day.